I really dislike uh, being known as the girl who was re-aged and lived in her own apartment at 7 years old. I don't like being known for the little girl that was helpless and was beat and starved and all that. I don't, because that's not who I am. That's just what happened to me.
Natalia Grace Barnett's life took wild turns after her story aired in Hulu's Good American Family. From being adopted by an American family to facing bizarre questions about her real age, her life quickly became a media sensation. What started as a hopeful adoption spiraled into a controversy, leading to court cases, news headlines, and public debate. But after headlines faded, many were left wondering, what happened to Natalia Grace after her time with the Barnetts? Join us to find out. Before we get into what happened to Natalia, let's take it back to where it all started. Born on September 4, 2003 in Ukraine, Natalia came into the world with a rare medical condition. Her condition, spondyloepiphyseal dysplasia congenita, is a genetic disorder that causes short stature and skeletal anomalies. The condition basically affects the spine and long bones of the arms and legs. After her biological mother, Anna Volodymyrivna, abandoned her, Natalia spent her early years in a Ukrainian orphanage. Without the care of a parent, life in Ukraine offered little hope for little Natalia, until 2008, when she was adopted by an American couple, Deanne and Gary Ciccone. They brought her to the United States, believing she had finally found a forever home. But what seemed like a happy new beginning for Natalia quickly turned into a series of tragic incidents. 2 years after adopting Natalia, the Ciccones gave up their parental rights. They claimed her behavior was unmanageable, leaving Natalia up for adoption again at around 7 years old. That same year, Christine and Michael Barnett, a couple from Indiana, stepped in to adopt Natalia. Although the Barnetts already had 3 sons, they saw the adoption as a chance to grow their family. Christine ran a daycare for kids with disabilities and had written a book, The Spark, about raising Jacob, who had autism and a high IQ. The Barnetts welcomed Natalia into their family with open arms, but things didn't stay happy for long. After just a few months, Natalia experienced another tragic heartbreak in her young life. Initially, Natalia's new family thought she was about 6, based on her adoption papers, so they treated her as such, taking her to Disneyland and other kids' amusement parks. Natalia seemed to fit in perfectly, but soon Christine and Michael started growing suspicious of her. According to a reliable source, the Barnetts noticed things that didn't add up for a 6-year-old. The biggest shock came when they accused her of pointing a sharp object at them. To the Barnetts, these weren't the actions of a little girl. By 2012, Michael and Christine were convinced Natalia wasn't a child. They claimed she was an adult pretending to be young, using her medical condition to trick people. To back up their claims, the Barnetts took Natalia to different hospitals, and a doctor allegedly backed their hunch, saying Natalia's bone age looked older. That same year, they petitioned an Indiana court and got Natalia's birth year changed from 2003 to 1989. What this means is that Natalia was now officially seen as a 22-year-old adult instead of an 8-year-old child. The decision was a quick one. There was no hearing, no legal representation for Natalia, just a judge signing off based on what the Barnetts said. In 2013, Natalia experienced yet another heartbreak when the Barnetts moved to Canada with their sons so Jacob could study physics. Before they left, they rented an apartment in Lafayette, Indiana, and put Natalia there alone. Although they set her up with disability payments, they cut off all contact with her. Natalia, still a child by her actual age, was left to fend for herself. For over a month, she scraped by on canned food, confused, frightened, and isolated. Eventually, a neighbor, Cynthia Mans, discovered Natalia sitting outside and took her in. What unfolded next turned Natalia's life into a headline-grabbing saga that had millions glued to their TV screens. The Barnetts' treatment of Natalia did not go unnoticed. In 2019, they were charged with neglect of a dependent after an investigation challenged their claims about Natalia's age. Prosecutors found Natalia's Ukrainian birth records, proving she was born in 2003, not 1989. Also, a dentist's x-rays from 2011 showed Natalia was around 8 when they adopted her, not an adult as the couple claimed. Despite the evidence, the legal process dragged on. Michael Barnett was eventually acquitted in October 2022, and all charges against Christine Barnett were also dropped in March 2023. During the back and forth at the court, Natalia had already moved in with Cynthia and Antoine Mans, a pastor with 10 kids. They welcomed her into their home in 2013 and began fighting for legal guardianship in 2016. Their efforts paid off when, in June 2023, the Manses officially adopted Natalia, following a DNA test that legally restored her birth year. For a while, it seemed Natalia had finally found peace with the Manses, living first in Indiana and later in Tennessee. But it doesn't seem like it. After the legal battle, Natalia's story hit TV in a big way with The Curious Case of Natalia Grace, a 3-season docuseries from Investigation Discovery. Season 1, which aired in May 2023, focused on the Barnetts' version of events. In January 2024, Season 2, titled Natalia Speaks, gave Natalia a chance to share her side. In it, she called the Barnetts' accusations outright lies and claimed they copied the plot of the horror movie Orphan, in which an adult woman pretends to be a child. Then came Season 3, the final chapter, which aired on January 7, 2025, just ahead of Hulu's Good American Family. This season flipped the narrative once again. The Mances, once seen as Natalia's saviors, began to express doubts about her. Antoine Mons even called the producers, saying, "Something ain't right," and described Natalia as tweaking. Apparently, things turned sour between Natalie and the Mances in late 2023. Antoine Mans, her adoptive father, reached out to the producers of The Curious Case of Natalia Grace with worries. He felt something was off with Natalia, saying she was acting strange and seemed like a problem in their home. Cynthia Mans, her adoptive mom, agreed, believing Natalia was betraying them with lies that hurt the family. Then, just 3 days before Christmas 2023, Natalia slipped out of the Manses' house in the dead of night with help from her boyfriend. Later, she spoke to a media outlet about why she left. According to Natalia, she and the Manses fought over her need for freedom and her newly found relationship. The final straw came when Antoine discovered intimate messages on Natalia's phone and confronted her. He took the phone away and forbade her from speaking to Neil. Feeling controlled and suffocated, Natalia decided to leave, bringing an abrupt end to her time with the family who had adopted her only 6 months earlier in June 2023. After the Good American Family, Natalia's life kept moving. By late 2023, she had left the Manses and moved in with Nicole and Vincent DePaul, a couple in upstate New York who have the same genetic disorder as she has. The family had tried to adopt her back in 2009 before the Barnetts and now took her in as friends, not parents. They also featured in an episode of the show where they insisted that Natalia is sweet, not violent as her other adoptive parents claimed. As of April 2025, Natalia is building a new chapter in her life. She's studying for her GED with hopes of becoming a teacher one day. She's also learning to drive, preparing for upcoming surgeries related to her condition, and enjoys listening to music. Above all, she's happily in a relationship with her boyfriend, Neil. But that's not all for Natalia. According to reports, she has been diagnosed with PTSD and reactive attachment disorder, which is a condition in which a person struggles to establish healthy attachments with parents due to neglect. Meanwhile, the Barnetts also experienced turmoil in their relationship. Michael filed for divorce in 2014 and it was finalized in 2018. He now lives a quiet life in Indianapolis. Christine, on the other hand, is fully settled in Bradenton, Florida, where she is focused on writing books and maintaining a low profile as well.